What's up, Goblin Gang? It's Goblin Guy, your only guy that's on your side. Damn, that rhymed. Anyways, you're a player. This great game that we call life, and there's nothing you can do about it. But you could play the game. You could actually be good at it, but you're not. So we'll get into that in a bit, though. You have a choice. You don't have to play the game, right? Just like you have the mental fortitude to not, you know, log on to Valorant and drop a 40 bomb. You could also have the mental fortitude to just not deal with the game at all, right? The game of life, that is. You can just sit down in your house, eat some cake, get some ice cream, chill out. Maybe you're still at your mom's place, maybe you're not. You could work a mundane job and not really aspire to be anything else. You could simply stay where you are. And it's comfortable. It's comfortable. There's not a lot of responsibility associated with it. And it's pretty nice. It's pretty peachy. It's a pretty nice position to be in. Or you could play the game, right? You can go outside. You can really try to do the hard stuff that like you really don't feel like doing, right? Which is maybe let's go into the gym. Maybe you're trying to be a kung fu master. You join in like an MMA class or something. I don't know. But you could really try to up some skills in your life, right? You can try to up various attributes about yourself, and you can steadily develop yourself. The only problem with this is that this sucks, right? There's like, why would I go to the gym, right? When I could just sit down at home, eat ice cream, watch that new anime that just dropped. You know, it's easier. It's easier to not do this. But it is kind of easy, isn't it? I mean, you log into Valorant every day, maybe League of Legends, whatever fucking game that you play, and you spend copious amounts of time leveling up your skills in a virtual environment. And I think that's pretty translatable into real life. So let's talk about it. So let's say you decide to hell with it, right? Fuck games. Fuck life. Fuck reality, right? Screw it, it's too hard. What happens when you don't play a game, right? What happens when you don't log into League of Legends, right? Well, you don't have the responsibility to like do anything in the game, right? Cuz like you're not associating with it. So it's fine, right? It's comfortable, right? If there were any problems associated with playing League of Legends, those problems don't exist. So it's a pretty comfortable position to be in. But the thing that sucks about not playing League is that you just can't develop yourself in any way, right? Like there's no there's no getting better. You're not gonna leave your heart stuck in iron, right? You're never gonna get to gold. You're never gonna get to plat. You're not going up, right? Same thing with any other game, right? Even if it's like fucking Minecraft, right? You're not going to build like that mega mansion that you were thinking of like when you were like 3 years old and you're like, oh, I want to live here, and you want to make it a Minecraft. That's not that's not going to happen. This You're not going to develop the skills to get where you want to in the game. And of course, if you can't develop yourself, there's just no success, right? If you can't grow to tackle on hard challenges or harder challenges than what you're currently capable of, then they're not going to move anywhere. You're going to stay at the same place. Same thing with life, really, if you honestly sit back and think about it for a second. If you don't engage with life, if you don't engage with like socializing with other people, with trying to get out of your dead end job, there's no responsibility. Yeah. You don't have to deal with people, so that's fine. Maybe you're unemployed. You don't have to deal with the hassles of getting a job or trying to get into a higher job, even if you are employed, right? There's no hassle of trying to get a manager's position. There's no hassle of trying to move up the corporate ladder. There's no hassle of trying to find a better alternative. There's no responsibility. You're fine. And it's comfortable too, right? You're at a place that you're in control of your environment because you're so familiar with it. So it's a comfortable place to be in. But what happens, right? What happens if you work at like Wendy's for 10 years. Somebody's got to do it. So I'm not bashing on Wendy's workers, right? But let's say you work at Wendy's for 10 years, you're a crew member for 10 years, right? How do you develop? What happens? Are you developing your financial capabilities, right? Do you have a side hustle that you're doing that you're trying to grow on? Do you have any sources of income and revenue? You really don't, do you? Nothing's happening. And there's no success attributed with that because it's the same thing day in and day out. You have to wake up at 8 a.m. and work to high hell, maybe work even longer hours than you wanted to, work a little bit of overtime just so you can make ends meet to pay the bills and go home and like watch that episode of Netflix that's been sitting at the back of your mind for a while. Is that a good way to live life? I don't think so. Let's say we do play the game though. Let's say we do play Valorant. Let's say we do play League. What happens? Right? Well, fuck, now we're responsible for our character, right? For this in-game persona that we made. Now we're responsible for this shit. And now we're going to be faced with like fucking trolls fucking up our game. We're going to be faced with the inability to climb the ladder because fuck, I just can't aim, right? Let's say you're playing Valorant, I can't aim. I got to do aim laps because like I have jack shit aim. There's no way I'm going to get it with my skills. So you sink hours into aim lab to be better, right? And even if you don't do aim labs or whatever the fuck it's called, you go onto like the training module that it has and you just like start clicking heads. You like practice clicking heads over and over and over again. And then you pop into a ranked game and see how your skills have improved. And you have to like keep playing the game. Like that's the difference. What like before what we just talked about is that you don't have to engage with the game. There's no engagement. You don't play it. So nothing's happening. You're not growing. It doesn't fucking matter. Like you're not losing, you're not winning, so it doesn't matter. You're fine, you're comfortable. But how does somebody get from being new, green, and fresh at the game and being a shit player to being somebody that's good? It doesn't happen overnight. Sure, some people, let's say they have unfair, stat buffs or shit like that, right? Maybe they have a better PC. Maybe some people were rolled a little bit of a better dice, they just have like maxed out intelligence, so they're like, oh, they're like using the fucking Pythagorean theorem while playing League to find the shortest possible way to destroy the Nexus. I don't know. Right? Maybe that is the case. But how do you get better? Do you worry about if somebody is inherently or intrinsically better at the game than you? That they're in a better position in life, like automatically by default? Do you worry about that stuff? You really don't, right? You're just so immersed into like getting yourself to the next level. You're like, okay, fuck, I was trash this game. I was shit. What do I do to get better? What do I need to do to get better? That's what you think of over and over and over again. It's a clockwork, right? And what happens? You develop yourself, right? Maybe you find out that like one agent or one champion, you just know it. Like it's just something about that agent or champion just clicks with you, right? And you just go ham. You go crazy whenever when you play that character, right? Maybe you discover this new technique, right? That was unbeknownst to you before, but now that you know it, you've leveled up, right? So now what happens after you develop? After you get better skills, right? After you've sunk in like 30 hours or like 100 hours in aim labs, you reap the benefits of that. You succeed. So you win more games, right? And that's fantastic. That's what we want to do. Why don't we apply this to real life though? Why is it that it's such a hard concept for young people? I don't care if you're a man or female, right? It doesn't really matter to me what your gender is. I couldn't care less. But why is it that people find it so easy to sink in a lot of time and energy playing video games? They're just playing video games. But they can't translate that mindset to their actual reality. You don't care if you have a shit potato PC. So why do you care if you have like a shit potato body? a shit potato mentality, a brain. Like, you're playing that game. Why? Because it's fun. It's entertaining. Okay, cool. Do you not think that life can be the same way though? Do you really think that? Do you think it's dependent on the reality that you're in? I don't think so. Because more than likely, if you play video games, you play multiple video games. You don't play like one. Some people do. They know life one game and that's all they do. But typically you branch out after a while. Maybe the game gets boring. Maybe it gets too easy. And what do? You look for a harder game, right? Or maybe you look for a game that fills this particular niche, right? You played a bunch of Dark Souls, and maybe you want a little bit of romance in your life. You play some Doki Doki Literature Club. Maybe you're that kind of person. It's like you change your reality based on your needs. Life is the best open like it's the best sandbox ever because there's so many like sub games within the game of life that we're talking about here, right? Party culture, completely different, completely and utterly different from like that school or like 9 to 5 culture. Completely different. But you have a character, you have a player logged in to the server that we call life in reality. What are you doing really? Not much, right? So you were probably thinking that I was going to be like, "Oh damn, so what do you want me to do, man? You want me to get up and like do shit, bro? Like come on, dude. Is that reasonable?" You're right. Both of these options are shit. Like, let's be honest here. Like, let's go back. There's negatives to both of these things, right? We want to be comfortable, right? We want to have less responsibilities, right? But at the same exact time, we want to develop and have success. But to get either of those things, you have to have such an intrinsic amount of negativities that follow suit with it, right? So what does that mean for you if like both of these options are trash, right? Let's talk video games really quickly. Let's go back to the video game analogy. Players who grow, like English, right? Players who grow receive rewards. That's just facts. If you're able to like stomp an entire horde of goblins in a single player game, you're probably going to get like a bit of coin for that. You know what I'm saying? You're going to get a couple of loot drops. Maybe you'll find like one or two things you could actually usefully use. The other things you just sell it and get more money off of it, right? But you receive some sort of reward for your actions, for growing, for trying to level up that character, right? Now, what can you do with these rewards? With this coin that you got, with this new sword that you got, you could probably accomplish more, right? If you got that new hot leather armor when you finally beat the first level boss, you're probably a bit more capable of defeating higher bosses that will normally just absolutely curb stomp you, right? And then you can use that gold that you got to like buy better material. Maybe you buy a new spell. Maybe you buy some new boots, a new helmet. Maybe you buy a necessary item to upgrade your class. The rewards that you get help you accomplish more. And what happens when you're an accomplished player? What happens? You have an easier experience, right? And you might say like, no, that's not true. The end game boss is so hard. The attack patterns are crazy, bro. Okay, fucking cool, right? It's hard, a hard, difficult boss. Correct. Defeat the boss, then what? Defeat the hardest boss in the game, then what? If the game's over, bro, play the game again. I would like you to go back and play the game again. Even if you reset all your rewards, right? You have an easier experience to go through it, right? How do you think speedrunning's a thing? Like, there's no way that people like get up and one day and like, oh man, I just figured out how to like clear this thing in like 5 minutes instead of the 30 minutes that it took me the first time. They have an easier experience because they're more accomplished in the game and they're more experienced in the game. All right? This is what we're trying to do. This is what we're trying to do with life. We're trying to play the game so we inevitably don't have to play the game. And if this doesn't make any sense, let's go back. Let's circle back. Let's talk let's talk life. If you develop skills, if you work on studying like new material for that test, right? So like instead of like being a C student, maybe you're a B student now. What does that give you? Well, it gives you more opportunities for like higher education and stuff like that, right? That's interesting. What happens if you take that opportunity of higher education? Shit, I got this debuff of debt. Okay, yeah, cool. But what happens if you go through it? Now you have a degree, right? What can you do with this degree? You can get jobs that were previously completely unattainable because they weren't even looking at you before. They're like, you worked at fucking Wendy's. Why do I want you to work for my Fortune 500 company? That's what happened with me. I used to work at Wendy's too. I used to be working as a high schooler to pay bills and to pay off bills for my household as a kid, right? There's a lot of people out here that are saying that like college is jack shit. And you know what? In a lot of ways, it is. I'm not going to lie to you. However, what does it do? Think about it. What does it replace? If you go straight into the workforce, there is a potential that yes, you will eventually fucking grow, right? You will eventually work hard and you'll get those promotions that are necessary for you to get more experiences and more promotions and more experiences that you can then use to translate into other companies. And maybe they'll hire you because you could say that, hey, I have 7+ years of work experience doing this. And they'll be like, damn, that's nice. And sometimes they look at you over other college applicants. I'm not even going to say that's not correct. But what does college do fundamentally? What does higher education do? Why do people go off and like learn trades? Is so that you can acquire the skills, the fundamental skills necessary of doing the task and having a higher grasp of doing the task, right? That's what it's for. When people hire you for the degree that you have, they don't hire you because, oh, this person has a 4.0 GPA and will automatically know everything in my company. No, they're hiring you because, damn, this person did the fucking work in school. They have a basic fundamental knowledge about this line of work. So it is less to train. First of all, it costs less to train you guys, right? Because not like I'm picking up Joe Schmo from the street and say, hey, fucking pave my driveway. He doesn't know how to do that shit. But you took a whole ass course on like figuring out like what materials to use here and what happens in like certain weather conditions. What's the lifespan of certain things, right? And it feels like fucking fodder. But if you really buckled down and did your shit in school, you should have a basic knowledge of the work that's ahead of you. It's as simple as that. It's really as simple as that. And what happens? What happens when you do this, right? When you get these higher positions, higher jobs, you can accomplish more things because now you have the money, right, to buy things, which will buy you into new opportunities, right? Let's say you were a computer science, let's say you were a software engineer. You made a fucking bank at like a Fortune 500 company. But now you're like, damn, I want to move on and do something that I really like to do. Maybe like your gripe is like security and you want to start your own security firm or whatever, right? Fair enough. Now you have the money to do that, right? You can finally start to work on that company from the ground up. Maybe start off as a hobby first. But you can work on it from the ground up and become an independent entity that actually could do shit. You could buy capital now, right? You could buy like you could buy shit that's relevant to what you actually want to do. If you worked at Wendy's, you wouldn't be able to do that, right? Because you have to worry about your fucking bills. Now your bills are like, fuck, I don't even have to worry about this shit because I got it. I got it like that. Now there is a pitfall. There is a problem with this, right? A lot of people level up in life in a lot of ways. But what happens is that they spend a lot of time, money, and resources in all the wrong things. So they legitimately have leveled up, but then they just add debuffs to themselves for no reason whatsoever, right? So let's say that like you worked at college, you worked in college, you did your stuff, you came out with your degree, and you buy a house, right? Immediately afterward. You don't really have the financial ability to do it, but you do it anyways. And then you don't really have the financial ability to like buy that car, but you do it anyways. You start making down payments. You put down a down payment, you start making payments on it monthly. And let's say you really don't have the ability to like afford kids right now, but you have them anyways. So like you inadvertently add new stuff, new problems to your life that weighs you down. You're like, fuck, I'm crippling, I'm in debt. Fuck college. But if you legitimately like move back in with your parents after college was over and like worked for a year, you could reasonably pay off all your debt like instantly. But people don't do that. They're like, I'm independent. I could do what I want. And even if maybe family life isn't the best situation for you, right? And you do move out, you like move into like a fucking like New York apartment. And like that's not sustainable. Like, do you know how expensive it is to live out there? Like it's crazy. You can't do that, Chief. Come on. So I don't know about you guys, but I want to start playing this game right. And a lot of what I'm doing here is laying the foundation for the future that I want to make. And I want to go more in depth in that in like another video. But I'm really tired because I've looked through a lot. This is a bit of a tangent here. I'm not even gonna lie. I don't edit these videos. I don't care. I'm just spitting out. I'm spitting out what I'm thinking, like podcast style. And honestly, this is what I prefer to do. Will I edit in the future? Maybe. Maybe I'll hire an editor if I feel like it. Hit me up. Let me know. But I don't know all the answers. I'm relatively young myself. But I'm seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. And the only way that I was able to see that light is because of the work that I put in today. And I went through a lot of hardships. Don't get me wrong. And maybe I'll cover that, but I feel like that's not really important. I think what is important is that you start today. You start to do something today. Maybe it's going on a walk, as simple as going on a walk every single day to reduce, like, you know, maybe it's just to stay active. Maybe you want to like lose a little bit of fat. Whatever the reason is, go on a walk out today. Go on a walk. Go outside. Enjoy the world. Really start to like reintegrate yourself back into society. Because you could do it. I've done it, so I know you can do it. And I think once you start playing the game, and without even listening to these videos, honestly, if you hear anything that I'm saying at all, and I know it's at the tail end, so like I'm gonna have like shit viewer retention and no one's gonna listen to me. But if you take anything away from this video, is that you have a lot of the seeds to your success when it comes to your mentality already. Fucking gamers work hard to get what they want in their virtual realities. So let's make it part of our reality. That's it. Again, I do not give a shit if you subscribe. I'm just talking. But if you do, I might play 10 hours of Valorant with you. Sounds like a pretty good deal to me. You should probably